Is it just me, or have there been a lot of films this year about the art of filmmaking? Diverse films such as The Fablemans, Clerks 3, The Wonder, Nope, X, Pearl, and more have either been about filmmaking itself, or used it as a major theme, or showcased a certain aspect of it in some small way. Enter Damien Chazelle's entry to the dog pile, Babylon. This film is a historical epic about the glories and decadence of old Hollywood, the difficult transition from silent films to talkies, and the lives made and destroyed in the process. It stars Brad Pitt as aging silent film star Jack Conrad, Margot Robbie as plucky newcomer Nellie Leroy, and Diego Calva as Manny Torres, a sort of everyman character who serves as the anchor point for the audience as he climbs through the ranks from gopher to studio executive by hard work and talent. We witness Jazz Age Hollywood in all its splendor, until it all comes crashing down, consumed by personal demons and the soulless nature of the Hollywood system. It's like the American dream with a dark side twist. If La La Land was Damien Chazelle's love letter to old Hollywood, Babylon is the breakup song. And yet, while Chazelle's hatred for the Hollywood machine is apparent throughout, so is his love for the films it produces. Therein lies the dichotomy, the central conflict of this ambitious drama. It is one he never quite resolves satisfactorily. Babylon is steeped in Hollywood lore, from the legendarily debauched parties of the era to composite characters serving as stand-ins for actual persons, to the chaotic transition from silent films to talkies. It feels like a dramatized documentary, and yet Chazelle does a little myth-making of his own, apparently taking strong influence from a 1959 tell-all book about the silent era entitled Hollywood Babylon that historians have been debunking ever since. Yes, there were parties. Yes, they were wild. No, they weren't that wild. Is he including such debauchery and drunken revelry to compare old Hollywood to the fall of the Roman Empire? Possibly, but he could have been a lot more subtle than to have an elephant shit all over the camera. The film is constructed around 4 such wild bacchanalia. In these scenes, we witness the self-indulgent defects of our tragic cast of characters. Once we cut to the first of these wild parties, we witness a young actress peeing on a fat, naked studio executive, taunting him, "Does Piggy like that?" It feels like Chazelle is trying to make a metaphor for how Hollywood treats its people and how we eat it up anyway, but it's a bit disjarring, if not insulting, to be shit on and pissed on within the first 5 minutes of a movie and have it be called art. It feels exploitive of its audience, more Caligula than Julius Caesar. And yet, all the elements of a truly great film are here. It's beautifully shot, superbly well acted and well crafted, with intriguing if underutilized characters, genuinely funny and fascinating scenes, an interesting story, gorgeous set design, and an extraordinary soundtrack that truly transports one back in time to the Jazz Age. By all rights, this should be an amazing film. It just never comes together, as if the whole is less than the sum of its parts. The film shines brightest when it focuses on the art of filmmaking itself, particularly the contrast between the lawlessness of the silent era with the micromanagement of the talkies. The first scene at the studio lot is engrossing, a camera masterfully capturing the chaotic allure of about a dozen silent films shooting simultaneously. Brad Pitt's Jack Conrad shines brighter than the sun in a medieval set-piece battle in the desert, while Margot Robbie's Nellie Leroy unexpectedly steals the show in a humorous bar scene of yet another film, brilliantly alternating between uproariously funny one moment and crying the next. Later, after the transition to talkies, we are treated to perhaps the best scene of the film, as Margot Robbie's Nellie and her director, brilliantly played by Chazelle's wife Olivia Hamilton, struggle to film a single scene of one of the new talkie pictures without some outside noise forcing one retake after another, 8 in all if I remember correctly. It's a hilarious scene that gives great insight into the technical difficulties of filming motion pictures with sound and the awkward transition from the silent era. And you thought quiet on the set was just a funny phrase. We also witnessed Brad Pitt's Jack Conrad struggle to adapt his craft by learning to emote using his voice. It feels surreal to see Brad Pitt acting like a bad actor, and this scene where we see him looking on as an audience laughs at his poor acting on screen is gut-wrenching. Even the parties are used to emphasize the contrast between the more carefree jazz age of the silent films and the more controlled era of the talkies, even if that point gets lost in some of the more unnecessarily lurid details. This becomes especially apparent during a party at the Hearst mansion, where our merry band of capricious misfits struggles to fit in with the stuffy upper-crust investors silently judging them until it all explodes in a literal stream of projectile vomit. The film also excels in those quiet moments when it slows down and allows for some discourse and character development. For example, at the beginning, Brad Pitt's Jack Conrad monologues to Manny Torres, Diego Calva, about his dreams of doing something new with film. Towards the end, a poignant discussion with gossip journalist Eleanor St. John, played by Gene Smart, reveals him to have become a sad casualty of the unforgiving studio system, unable to make the transition from silent films to talking pictures. Margot Robbie's Nellie Leroy has a number of such scenes with Diego Calva's Manny. Though their tragic end is telegraphed way off, it is no less sad when it comes thanks to scenes such as these that allow us to empathize with the main characters. Other characters, however, feel wasted. More screen time would have been welcome for the alluring Lady Fei Zhu, played very well by Lee Jun-ji, and witty jazz trumpet player Sydney, played by Jovan Adepo. Maybe that was the plan with a 4-hour cut, but as it is, both feel like little more than archetypes used to make a point about racism in old Hollywood than fully developed characters in their own right. The biggest sin this movie commits, however, is the self-indulgent ending. A more charitable view would suggest that Damien Chazelle is saying the real magic of film is that such beauty and art are created at all, despite this soulless monster which chews up and spits out its own young. A less charitable view would suggest that such pain is the price of this beauty, suffering for one's art and all that. Either way, it comes across as hypocritically self-indulgent to try to lull your audience with a nostalgia-fueled montage of scenes from famous films when you just got through telling us how the system destroys the very same people it uses to make those films in the first place. This could have been a great film. I really wanted to love it. Sadly, however, it's just a fascinating failure. My rating is a very disappointing 5 out of 10. This has been KitchenAid Whiskey Jones reviewing the film Babylon. Until next time, see you at the movies.